glad to have you tonight on Let's Talk Finances, the Tari YouTube channel. And I want to welcome you to all my listeners today. We are joined with iconic women, and she really inspires me. I was telling you that, you know what, I'm even adopting you to be my mentor. That's me, you know me, guys. So I'm just going to do a brief introduction of our guests tonight. And as you know, September is a wills month, and this week it's a free wills month. So Renai is going to educate us the importance of having a will. But before we get into it, let me just share her bio, her profile, so that you can just understand why I'm so excited to have you tonight. Renai Naick, founder and CEO of KSR Financial Wellness, is passionate about empowering clients and with practical tips and proven strategies that drive results. With a strong focus on purposeful planning, she's dedicated to helping clients and advisors alike achieve long-term wealth creation and financial stability. Renai brings a wealth of experience and a fresh perspective to the advisory space, inspiring others to plan with intention and impact. Having been in the insurance industry for 30 years, having started a career at Alexander Forbes in 1996 and moved on to Liberty in 1999, moving through various departments, most notably private fund administration and corporate bond investments, and then started her financial planning career in 2015, working for Sanlam. Achieved Peregrine Falcon, and then moved into the independent advisory space in 2016, working under 2 brokerages, and finally took the plunge and started her own brokerage company in 2022. She has been in the Seatwire Top 50 Advisors 2 years in a row. Now, and that is a testament to the high standard of professionalism, dedication, and client service she brings to the financial advice profession, with a passion for your community and giving back. So my listeners, please help me to welcome Renai tonight. Renai, I'm so honored to have you tonight, and thank you for agreeing for us just to talk through about the will space. But before we get deeper into that, can you tell us about yourself in KSR Financial Wellness? What do you do, and who do you serve?
Hi, Tari. Thank you so much, firstly, for having me on your channel. It's really, really awesome, and it's been really great to connect with you over the last few days. I am inspired by you and the fact that you have authored such amazing books and you've done such amazing work. So hats off to you, honey. That's like really, really awesome. So yeah, thanks again. I am the founder of KSR Financial Wellness. We started in 2022. Besides being a business owner, I'm also a mom of 2 amazing young kids, and yeah, a very supportive hubby, because if I didn't have a supportive hubby, I wouldn't be where I am right now. He supported my journey, my leap of faith that I actually took originally in 2015, becoming a financial advisor. So leaving a salary job to become a commission earner, and most people would think that was absolutely insane. What's really insane is that I now have my own business, which is something that I would not have foreseen had you asked me this 5 years ago. So I guess my first thing is, you're never too old to start something new, and I'd encourage anybody to follow their passion. In terms of what KSR is very much a community-orientated brokerage. We serve all forms of South African and South African families. It was born out of my own personal experiences and my own personal losses. I lost my dad at the age of 57. And when dad passed away, we found that he didn't have any policies in place. Financial advisors had come and gone in and out of his life, but nobody had actually stuck. Nobody had actually made the time to learn about him or his family, or to understand what the needs were. So obviously when dad passed away, mom was left to fend for herself. And that's when I made the decision to make sure that that never happened to anybody else ever again. And from a financial planning purpose, for me, it's all about, you do unto others what you would want to have done to you. And we plan, we don't just plan, we actually co-create with our clients. We co-create something that's really important to them, and that they can see the value in. The other thing is that we are holistic financial planning brokerage. And when I say that, we are actually partnered with a fitness company called White Fox Fitness, and that brings in the wellness component for KSR, which is really, really unique in this industry because there aren't many brokerages that actually focus on both the financial as well as the health component of financial planning. So making
Mm.
sure that it's about mind, body, soul, and also creating future legacies. So that's really what we do at KSR.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And I see like you guys touching on the physical aspect of us being fit, and also on the financial well-being. I think it also brings that it brings that like the passionate you have in helping your clients that okay, in as much you are going to plan for your future, but also let's focus on your fitness as of today. I really love that about the case KSR financial fitness. And as we're talking about the story about when your father died, when he was 57, that there was no policies in place and all that. It also reminds me like the perspective which many people have when we talk about wills. I remember 2 years ago when I went home, then I asked my dad, like, do you have a will? Can we find a lawyer or someone to help you get a will? The way he looked at me and he got so angry and he was like, are you planning to kill me? Then we ended up ending the conversation. It didn't go anywhere because I was like, oh, the way it's going now, it's a wrong turn. But I'm just hoping when I have the conversation with him, he can understand that it's not about him dying, but it's just preparing and preserving what he built over his lifetime. Right. So I think that's a very important topic we need to know as a people, but it's something we don't really think about. And we also don't know that no one of us has a contract with God. So but before because
Exactly.
today I'm also wanting to learn. I also came with my notebook to take some notes. So what makes Sarah financial wellness unique in the financial services landscape of South Africa? I know you also mentioned about the fitness part you do, which other financial services don't offer. But is there anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah. So, I mean, KSR is a fully fledged 100% black owned female company. So that's big for me because female empowerment is something that I'm very passionate about, creating and making sure that we grow our youth, especially young females. This is a very male dominated industry. So you will find very few female owned financial services enterprises if you were to Google or check. And what makes us really unique is that we are a group of very passionate individuals, passionate about financial wellness, passionate about financial fitness, passionate about making a real difference to the people in South Africa. So, creating products that also set us aside and creating things that make sure that every walk of life is actually taken care of. So I'm very much a keen purporter of making sure that every person in this country has a will, that everybody is treated fairly. So to me, it doesn't matter whether you are a waiter in a restaurant or whether you are a CEO of a big company.
Mm,
Everybody deserves the right to have financial planning. We all have families to take care of.
yes.
And it's also about breaking cycles. I come from a community that is particularly poor, and we've recently just done some initiatives in that community as well around some feeding schemes and then financial literacy that we're planning to do in the community as well. But for me, the big thing is about breaking cycles,
Mm,
and it's making the youth of this country and the young people realize that there are opportunities for them. Entrepreneurship is big, but
mm,
learning and unlearning some habits that we learn when we're younger. The point you made earlier about having the conversation with dad, and where dad was suddenly had his back up and this was like, this is not something I really want to talk about. So the reality is we live in a country where finances are not discussed in family circles,
mm,
where it is a taboo subject. When
mm,
you talk about things like wills, people get their backs up because they're like, exactly that. Are you planning to kill me? It's none
mm,
of your business. It's me and mom, and we've sorted it out, and life is good, and all is fine, and you're going to be okay. You also
mm,
made another very, very important point, and this is something I want to say to you guys, is that a will is actually not about debt. It's
mm,
about love. It's one of the clearest ways that you can say to your family, I planned for you, I
mm,
protected you, and I thought ahead. And for me, that is the most powerful thing. And it's about changing the mindset around how we approach these conversations and how we have them.
Mm,
Because as old as you are, the whole thing is that, you know, so imagine you're this old and you've had this conversation with dad. But imagine families where they are minors, like they are kiddies. You know,
mm,
your babies, your 3-year olds, your 5-year olds, they don't know what a will is. They don't understand any of those things. And if something happens to mom or dad, what happens to them? You know, they're left to fend for themselves. And
mm,
unfortunately, the reality is that money can create vicious cycles, unfortunately.
mm,
And in a country where we have many different cultural variations of things that we do when someone passes away, um, I can talk to you about black tax because that's
yeah.
a reality. So
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a case of I am now expected to take care of my siblings. I am now expected to take care of my siblings' kids in the event that they pass away.
Mm,
In Indian communities, it's very much about looking after your parents. It's very much about, you know, in the event that something is to happen to a particular parent, the other parent then needs to be looked after. And that I talk from personal experience as well, because when my
mm,
dad passed away, my mom my mom moved in with me. So you know, it's a reality. And then you also have the youngest kids in the family who tend to be the ones who look after their parents because the older siblings have moved on, gotten married, have families
mm.
of their own. So it becomes it's quite intrinsic. It's all interweaved, you know, the whole financial planning, the whole financial wellness, and even estate planning. It's all interlinked and interweaved, and that's what people miss. That importance of how we make a difference by doing a will.
Yes, yes. I actually loved the way you said it. Like, like some of the things we need to unlearn, relearn, and continue learning. Like now, like I'm actually like, okay, I'm on the mindset of, okay, even the people I speak with, I tell them that, a will is not just about death, but it's about love. It's about showing your loved ones that you actually cared for them and actually had the thought and sit down whilst you were still able to do it and draft it. Like, you know what? I'm working so hard for this family. I'm working so hard for my kids. But if anything happens to me, God forbid, but I know that A, B, C, D, you'll be still taken care of. Not instead of like, okay, people that at my funeral now they're crying, they don't even know where the next meal is going to come from because there's not even a policy, there's not even a will. So I think taking it from that perspective that it's about love. It's also about also being like showing being passionate about the people you care about, even when you're no longer there, because we don't know the time and death. So I love that perspective, and I think everyone who is listening tonight is just that we need to start relearning that a will is not about death, it's about love. So if you love your loved ones, please make sure that we still in the free wills week, right? There's still Thursday and
Yes.
Friday. Make sure that if you don't have one, make sure that you go and get assistance because it's for free. You can even go to KSR Financial Wellness. She will share a address when we finish. But let's continue with our conversation. Why is Free Wills Week such an important initiative, and what role does KSR play in it?
Okay, so in terms of this week is specifically set aside, so the whole industry comes together in terms of law firms and insurance companies, banks. Everybody comes together during this particular week and offers free wills. So what that means is that there's no cost for drafting your will, and you know, so attorneys don't charge, nobody charges, everybody just assists in drafting wills this particular week. But what I want to say to you is that, you know, worlds we cannot just be or worlds cannot just be put together in a week, right? The other most important thing is that there are many of us who actually have worlds
Mm,
that are not valid. And why I say that is because, yeah, man, I did a will. It's with the bank. I'm sure it's signed. I have a copy somewhere. When last did you review it?
mm,
About 5 years ago or so. Okay, what's happened since then? I've had a kid. I
yeah.
got married. I
Mm,
got divorced. Uh, you know, so many things happened during that time. Or the person I nominated as a guardian has passed away. Because most young people tend to nominate their parents as guardians for their kids in the event that something happens.
mm,
Unfortunately, parents do pass away. So what happens if one or both parents have passed away and you didn't review that will? And you yourself have minors. Now
Mm,
you pass away, that just leaves a whole conundrum for somebody.
mm,
In terms of the World's Week, yes, KSR Financial Services is there. We are happy to assist. You guys can reach out to us, and we'll facilitate it for you. The most important thing is getting people to actually understand how important it is to have a will. So during this week, you will see lots of campaigns. You will see lots of adverts. You will see companies like Sanlam. You will see companies like Capital Legacy. You will see the banks, everybody. So everywhere you go on social media, there's going to be something relating to drafting your will, how important it is. But it's also important to understand why it's important to draft the will. Because
mm,
then there's no point in doing the exercise and not understanding, or doing the exercise because you feel like, "Ah, now I'm being forced to do it, let me do it." The whole thing is that when you do a will, it needs to be proper. It needs to take everything into account.
mm,
So it's not something that you just rush and do overnight. It takes planning. You need to have done your assets and liabilities. You need to have done, if you have a car collection or you have vehicles, those kinds of things, you need to make sure that you account for all of that stuff, you
mm,
know. And then the most important thing is, apart from drafting the will, is actually to make sure that it's valid, to actually make sure that it's signed correctly, to actually make sure that you have, okay, this is going to sound really horrible when I say it, is that you actually have what we call a debt file. So in the file, you would have a copy of all of your policies. You would have a copy of who your contact people are at the bank, who your financial advisor is, who has a copy of the will, who the executors are. And people people are going to go, oh no, but this is something you also need to put in there, which is your password. So passwords for your computer, passwords
mm,
for or your banking stuff, and all of those kinds of things, because it's really really important, because now you're not here, so now there's no way to access this information. Also,
mm,
the key to unlocking your phone, those kinds of things. I actually had a conversation with the client the other day, and I said to them, uh, you know imagine you've now passed away, and a year down the line, your Facebook stuff is still like, and people are still tagging you and stuff and posting and whatever. That's like, just, that's morbid. That's weird. um, you know. But in this conversation that I had with the client, there's something else I want to talk to you about, Tari, is us as females, and this is really, really important, is that us as females tend to step back when it comes to finances and understanding the realm of what actually impacts us. And what my client said really stood out for me, because he said to me, Ren, I've tried so hard to engage my partner in doing this with me. And her version of it is, I trust you. I trust you. You've got it in hand. I know that you're doing the right thing. But he says, Ren, if I'm doing it and something happens to me tomorrow, how's she going to navigate? How she's going to understand what we've actually done here if she hasn't co-contributed with me? And that is the problem. Is that as females we step back and we believe that our partners are in control and doing everything for us. However, when your partner is no longer there, how do you stand on your own feet?
mm,
you know and yes, it's okay for your partner to have a financial advisor that he's comfortable with. Nothing stops you from having a financial advisor that you're comfortable with,
mm,
right?
mm.
And females have different needs. That's
True.
the other thing, and we think differently and we operate differently. So it's really important, Tari, during this week, for our female clients,
Mm.
to actually take note and stand up for themselves and make sure that the stuff is actually in place and that they know what's going on in their realm.
True, true. I love that. But before I go to the next question, I wanted to ask you and comment on the last part you spoke about. I wanted to ask you about this death file. Was I actually had the conversation with my husband about, what we need to put like everything in one place and all that. But our question was like, do we put the folder on the laptop? Do we create? Do we make copies? Do we write in a journal and put in a safe, or where do we keep this death file?
So what most people do is that they keep two versions of it. So they would store one electronically, and then they would have a physical file that you would either place into a safe or somewhere that like in a safety deposit box or somewhere that it is safe, right? The other thing that you must also just remember is that when we do a will, we appoint an executor. Now,
Mm.
most times, if the will is done with, as an example, with a bank or through a provider like Capital Legacy or
Because, yeah.
Sanlam or Hollard,
Mm.
basically those entities then become the executors of the will.
Mm.
Okay. And what would happen is that they would actually safekeep a they would safekeep the original of the wills and you would have a copy of it. So that's really, really important to just remember. But also, Tari, another important point is that sometimes we do wills with multiple places. So I could have done a will with the bank 2 years ago and then decide to do a will with Sanlam, as example,
Mm.
now
Yeah.
during World's Week. Okay. The new will, provided that it is signed and witnessed, would override the previous will that was done. So that's really, really important.
Yes.
However, if you do a new will now and don't sign it, the previous will stands.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. And many people sometimes they do forget. So okay,
Yeah.
so like I actually learned something because I did we do have our wills with Capital Legal. So I think we just update this part of the death file and all that because I wasn't sure like where exactly should I keep it? Like should I keep it somewhere? Then I would just tell maybe someone closer to me that if anything happens, then my husband also does the same on his side. So but if you mentioned that we can just update this information and also give it to Capital Legal because they're the ones who are keeping they're the ones who are keeping our wills, then I think it's something I
Yeah.
really need to do. Thank you for that. It's a lesson learned. And I also wanted, I almost loved when we were saying that women sometimes we are so reliable to our husbands. 2 weeks ago, you know what happened? My car just decided to stop driving on the middle of freeway. And you know what? I'm that wife who is like, if I've got a car tire problem, I call hubby. Hubby, come to the rescue. This time he was
Yeah.
out of the country and I was stuck in
Oh
freeway.
no.
And
Oh,
now I wasn't even sure which insurance company are we using because we always like look around, change insurances, looking for the cheaper one, you know how we do it. Now I wasn't even sure which
yeah.
insurance company, but for me it was a wake-up call. The next day,
Yeah.
I did my Excel spreadsheet. I wrote all the emergency contact numbers. I wrote all the insurance companies we are using. I wrote all the guys we are using for warranty and everything. Now I have to have my
Yeah.
updated spreadsheet because I was like, I think this is a wake-up call. He was out of the country, but what if it was another thing which had happened to him? I was going to be stuck, not knowing where to get information from. So I think it's a
No,
really
that's yeah, no, you make a very prime example. Listen, I'm a proper girl. When it comes to car stuff, like no, I'm a proper girl. So the other day I had done a function at a friend of mine. I'd gone to do savings with the little ones, a savings day.
mm,
And apparently they say I didn't close something or put something off on the car. And when I jumped in to pull out of the yard, it's like it's not going anywhere. It's like it was dead. And here's me taking pictures and phoning my husband and saying, "Listen, dude, this thing is not starting. Please help," you know. And it was like, yeah. So I completely get that. So I mean, I'm also a girl. I also do that kind of stuff, and we do become reliant. However,
yes,
we also have the power to make a difference in our own life.
yes,
So,
true,
it's about learning, and trust is important, right? In any relationship, trust is important. However, nothing stops us from having that conversation with our partner.
true.
And and even for young females who don't have partners, who are on their own, we have lots of young professionals
Mm,
who are currently single or going through stuff or going through their stages in terms of learning. It's
yes,
really, really important though to understand what's out there for you as a female. It's really important to understand, what the realm is, and it's really, really important to know that you're not alone. We've
yes,
in KSR we believe that we've created a tribe, and our tribe is young females. So
mm,
we work with different now you're on board as well. So we work with different money coaches. We work with different spheres of coaching, which is
mm,
really, really important. And our female listeners must make sure that they teach themselves, um,
true.
and that they do better the generation before them, and that they prepare the generation that will come after them, because it's
Mm.
all in our hands. And I think that's what we forget.
Yes. And I think if I can just pick one word from this, like ladies, we need to wake up and educate ourselves. Let's
Yeah.
educate ourselves. Get to understand, okay, what's happening. Let's create our death files. Let's just know. It's not like we are planning for anything, but we are just being proactive, just in case something happens. At least you won't get stuck. And they always say, I don't know if it's true, but they always say the husbands are the ones who usually passes away early than us. So, so yeah, but let's get to educate ourselves. So, okay, what are some of the misconceptions people have about wills and estate planning?
Okay, so people believe, okay, these are for young people. Okay,
Mm,
so our young people tend to believe that they're going to live forever, first of all,
yeah. Mm,
that they're immortal. And that's the truth. You have conversations with young people, and that's generally the consensus is like, I don't need a will, I don't need to talk about debt, I don't want to deal with this right now. It's not
mm,
in my realm. Okay. But the common misconceptions are things like, we're married in community of property. If my partner passes away, the house will automatically become mine. Unfortunately, Tari, that's not the case. There's a
mm,
whole process to follow. It's like you're literally purchasing the property,
mm,
because you own 50% of the property. Hubby owns 50% of the property. Shame, all
mm,
the guys are thinking we're just killing them off. I promise you that's not the case. But if hubby were to pass away first, now his component would have to be transferred into your name. Okay. And
mm,
that requires a conveyancer, that requires
mm,
transfer costs, that requires, you need to register stuff with the master. So there's a whole lot of stuff that actually needs to happen. That's a big misconception. So being married in
mm,
community or property doesn't mean that things automatically transfer over to you. Okay. The other misconception is that it's okay to leave stuff to minors, and it's not.
mm,
So the thing is that having minors as beneficiaries in your will is problematic, because any child under the age of 18, right,
mm,
legally cannot be a beneficiary in the will, because
mm,
they cannot administer a bank account. They don't understand the realm of finances at that point in time. So what
mm,
actually happens is that the money then goes to the guardians fund.
mm,
And getting money out of the guardians fund is rather traumatic. And when a child turns 18, irrespective of whether the child is able to deal with a lump sum of money or not, the guardians fund will automatically just pay whatever is left from a capital point of view, paid directly to them. And that's problematic in its own, because
yes.
suddenly I've got this big lump sum of money, and 9 out of 10 they're going to go out on a spending spree.
Yes.
So that's also really problematic. The other misconception is, I have a trust in place, so I don't need a will.
Mm, yeah.
Unfortunately, you do. So a trust caters for one component of something in terms of protecting assets, which is great. It does not stipulate what your last wishes were. It does not
Mm,
stipulate how other things need to be distributed, you know. So the thing is, like, when you have money in the bank account, when you have unit trusts, when you have shares, when you have all of those kinds of things, the realm around that is very, very different. So those are the kinds of things that one needs to think about. And any time that you have money in the bank account, if you have a vehicle, if you have a property, where you have children, it is really, really important to put a will in place.
mm,
Because in South Africa, there are hundreds of thousands of people who die without a will, who
mm,
die interstate. And when you have conversations with their children, they will say to you, it's taken us, we're in year 10, Renee, and nothing's happened.
mm,
This matter is still going on, you know, because nobody has the capacity to be able to run to the master of the high court, to go through the whole process that needs to be done, and now you've left your kids behind without
mm,
anything,
yeah.
so that's the important thing. The other thing is that to just make sure that you do have a solvent estate, that there's liquidity in your estate. So,
Mm.
when you have a bond, do you have credit life? If you don't have credit life, remember you're going to have a shortfall. So those are the kinds of things that you need to be mindful of, Tari, when you're doing. This is why I say, the world is not an overnight boom, bam, sign in, and we're done and we're gone. That's
Yes.
not it.
Mm.
It actually takes planning. You need to sit with your financial advisor. You need to do your assets and liabilities. You need to take cognizance of what the whole realm is. You need to
Mm.
know if your kids are going to go to varsity, because as parents we all have aspirations for our children to go to varsity or to
Yes.
to to some form of tertiary education, right? Have you planned for that? If you put a trust in place, great, but is there money for this
Mm.
trust? you know
Yeah.
so creating a trust is great, but is there actually money that's going to fund the trust when you are no longer here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is there ways for them to be seen to? The other thing with the will as well, Tari, the guardians that you do nominate, you need to have a conversation with the guardian and
Mm.
say to them, you are going to be in my will as the guardian of my children. Because now imagine you're not here and you've put a sibling or an aunt or an uncle and they go, what? No, like, wow. you know the other thing is, remember, you're also creating a financial burden for them as
Yeah.
well. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you've catered for that, like the kids can
Yeah.
be covered, so that you're not adding on to their plate, from that perspective.
Yeah.
And that's something people don't do. They don't have those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much, Renee, for highlighting that, because I think also it's something which people we overlook. Because I think also that kind of avoidance, that we don't really want to talk about these whole will things, because we think like maybe if I go to my sibling and tell you that I've put you in my will, then it will start like questioning like, are you planning to die? What's happened? But not really knowing that we are taking it from a point of love. We are just being prepared, because we are talking about love here. We are talking about the people we love. So that's why we need to be comfortable and normalizing having these conversations. If I can put it that way, that we need to normalize having this type of conversations if you want to build a good relationship with your money. And Renee, I think my last question is one which I always get asked by many people when I always start talking about this part of, okay, let's plan for your future. Let's plan for the life when we are gone. Many people, they always ask like, okay, so what do I put in the will? Let's say, for example, I don't even have the assets to my name yet. So what do I put in that will?
So in terms of what you put in the world, Tari, is you any money that you have in the bank account, you need to declare. So you need to say, if there's an investment, that it's going to go to my partner. If you have life policies, generally what happens is life policies tend to pay to beneficiaries, which is
Mm,
great. However, if you have a bond and you don't have credit life on your bond,
mm,
so what that means is now you pass away, but now your partner's left having to pay this bond on a monthly basis, right?
mm,
So in that instance, it's a case of you need to have a proper financial planning session with your financial advisor,
yeah.
because then that determines what actually goes into the will. That determines which policies get ceded to beneficiaries and which policies get ceded to the estate.
Mm,
Because that's really important. Having life policies that pay to the estate, because that means that you're actually making sure that the estate is liquid. So, Tari, the other thing is shortfalls in estates are real. Like
mm,
you can be a complete pauper, like literally have no assets to your name, and all you
mm,
have is a bank account. Okay.
yeah.
But the problem becomes that there's cost attached to all of these things. So there's an executor's fee. You get to pay
Mm,
estate duty. Depending on whether or not you have multiple properties, you're liable for CGT. Also, when we're doing wills, this was something I should have mentioned earlier.
okay.
But when you're married, what happens is that when you nominate your spouse as the beneficiary,
Mm,
so in most cases, it's like if I pass away, Tari would be the beneficiary. If Tari passes away, I would be the beneficiary. And because we're married, basically what that does is it gives us certain deductions in terms of from a tax perspective. It
chief,
gives
yeah.
us certain exemptions. All right. But the minute you make a child the beneficiary on your will, you must know that you are creating inheritance tax. You are also because then that money becomes taxable in their hands.
Mm,
So you're creating a tax burden for them. Um, and that's something that you must be very cognizant of as well when you're putting your will together.
mm,
And just making sure, like, what do you actually have. So guys, this is a financial advisory tip, okay? So monies that sit in the bank account, you cannot attach a beneficiary to it. All right. So yes, I'm sure that we have some beautiful souls out there that are really good at saving, and they've saved all of this money in the bank account. But the
mm.
problem is, if you were to pass away tomorrow, that bank account gets frozen,
Yeah.
and then your beneficiaries only have access to it once the estate is wound up.
Mm,
And not only that, because the executor has to now administer this bank account or these bank investments, you know, you're paying fees, you're paying executor fees.
mm,
So that's really, really important. And there are so many better ways to do savings that allow you to attach a beneficiary to it, that allows you to have accessibility to the money. And Tari, you know this and I know this, right? So when
mm.
you have savings that are attached to your bank account, what happens, Tari? What do you do? Like, I know what happens. So I want to know from
Yeah.
your perspective what happens when you have that money sitting like that savings sitting in the bank account.
It's easily like you can easily use it or get other things. And in the case like you pass away and you don't have a will, the money can also get frozen.
Yeah.
Mm,
That's exactly it, right? So
mm,
young people will say to you that they're doing savings in the bank, and then ask them what the interest rate is. Ask them how much they've earned in the last 6 months. It's going to be that much because what happened? Flat tire, new shoes. Ooh, that was a pretty dress. It's a reality, right? And these things happen. So just from that perspective, it's an important conversation to have, but you can't bulk it into like a rush job.
mm. True. True. Thank you so much, Renee. I've also learned a lot tonight. Like, okay, we need to, ladies and gentlemen, but today I'm mainly focusing with the ladies because you heard that ladies, we are more reliant on our spouses and our partners. Ladies, if you haven't started doing the conversations about wills, please make sure you do. There's still Thursday and Friday. Make sure you go to any attorneys, any lawyers. Okay, SRA, there's also Capital Lakers, there's a lot of organizations which can assist you in drafting a will. But as Renee mentioned, that it's not a day job or something you can just do overnight because they need to sit down with you so that at least you put proper things in your will. So don't say, I don't really have much assets, I don't have this, because you are protecting your loved ones. And remember, we are also taking this is a form of love. So if you say you love your kids, you love your siblings, or whoever you love, we are taking care of, please make sure that you do have a will. And yeah, I also learned something new which I didn't know about the inheritance tax. So thank you so much, Renee, for really educating us.
No,
So
that's
if there's
pleasure.
someone who is listening tonight and they say, you know what, tomorrow I want to go and see Renee, where can they find you? Where are your
Okay,
offices?
so our offices are in Lenasia South. Um, However, you can reach us through our website, which is www.ksr.finance. You can also reach out to me at renee@ksr.finance. And yeah, you can reach us through those mediums. We're also on Insta. Uh, yeah, but don't ask me for the Insta thing now, because I'm bad with that. So I'm gonna lie to you if I give you the link. And yeah, but we literally email, WhatsApp, phone call away. And Tari, you can just share my details on the channel as well, so that
Yes.
people can reach out to us. And yeah, and I'd love to engage with anybody who'd appreciate our services and want to become a part of our community. And Tari, thank you again so much for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. And it's been amazing chatting to you and getting to live a component of my passion, which is financial literacy and sharing information with others, because I think it's so important. And kudos to you for the work that you do and what you're trying to achieve. And welcome to the KSR tribe as well, Tari. We're
Yeah.
blessed to have you. and looking forward to a very fruitful relationship with you.
Yeah, I'm so very much excited. So I'll put all the details, the address, phone number, and everything on the description. So if you feel like tomorrow you need to get your house in order, please do contact Renee. And Renee, I was so honored, and I can say that I also learned a lot. And I'm just also so excited as well for joining the KSR Financial Wellness. And guys, they also do dancing and Zumba. I think it's Zumba and dancing. You must come and join one of these Saturdays. I'll be advertising it on my status. So please make sure that you stay hooked up and just understanding. Please also just remember that your money matters and you must be in charge of it. And don't forget to subscribe and like and share to anyone you know that they can benefit from this recording we did tonight. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.